Okay, folks, welcome back. It's Larry Red here with another book review. Uh, Make sure you stick to the end here so you can hear what I'm reading next. It's a good one. But without further ado, like I said last time, the book I was reading next is The Guest Room by Rona Halsall. I hope I'm saying that right. An unputdownable psychological thriller. That's at least what it says on the cover. Did it live up to what it was saying. So I was given this book as a birthday gift actually from someone. Probably not the kind of book I would read sort of, unprompted, but I got it as a gift. It wasn't too long. Decided I'd take a stab at it. I enjoy mysteries. I like the idea of a psychological thriller. Um, you know, Obviously huge fan of Agatha Christie. She is just, oh my God, the best. If you haven't read Agatha Christie's mystery books, you do yourself a favor and do so. But this book is not by Agatha Christie. It is by a British author, though, which I did like. Talking about things I like, I like that this book took place in England, specifically in Leeds, I believe. I enjoyed, the cozy sort of British stuff. It's hard to be scary, like when you're in England. I don't want to be offensive, but when you're in England, everything's sort of quaint and quite nice. So it's not easy to be scary. And to be honest, this book to me it wasn't that scary. Um, when it said it's a psychological thriller, I mean, there are parts that sort of made you uneasy, but it's not like a really scary book, in my opinion. And I'm easily scared. So, you know. Anyways, so let's actually talk about what the book is about. Uh, it's about this woman, and her name is Steph, and her life has completely turned upside down. Kind of like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but not really at all. That just came to mind. That was word association. But anyways, her life is totally turned upside down. She lives in Leeds. She lives in England. She's 54 years old, kind of a middle-aged woman, not someone that I would sort of read a book about. And that's part of the reason why I like the book, It's sort of a viewpoint that I don't often read. Uh, but anyways, her life's sort of falling apart. She has two children, B and Max, and a big plot point of the book, this is not really a spoiler, is that Max sort of left home 10 years ago. And that's sort of been weighing heavily on her. She has this close relationship with her son, Max, and he sort of grew up. He became sort of troubled in his teenage years, as teenagers, am I right? But things get so bad, he ends up leaving the house to join the military, and it's been 10 years since that happened. So, not just that, Steph also has this crazy thing happen where her husband uh, basically accuses her of having an affair with someone and leaves her. So that's sort of where the book opens up. Steph, the main character, is sort of living on her own for the first time. She's always lived with her husband Andy, but he's moved out. He's had enough because he thinks that Steph had an affair with this guy that Steph works with. And Steph's work is an important part of the book. She works at a homeless shelter, or not a homeless shelter. It's more of like a place that helps homeless people get back on their feet, and such stuff like that. So, anyways, that's a big part of the book. And Andy, Steph's husband, thinks that Steph had an affair with Bill, the boss of the homeless shelter. Anyways, so Steph is sort of living alone for the first time in her life. She has this house that she's lived in. Andy's moved out. He moved in with someone else. So she is, trying to make it as an independent, woman, uh, living by herself. It's not easy. It's very different for her. And what makes it even scarier is there's this constant, sort of barrage of, scary things happening. It starts, she gets pushed down an escalator at a mall. And she breaks her ankle. Then, what else happens? I don't know. Someone like she hears things in her house. I don't know. She thinks she might be paranoid. Uh, she smells cigarette smoke when, she doesn't smoke or anything like that. And then it really ramps up when she notices that someone has broken into her home. They haven't taken anything, but they like sat on the bed and they left a window open. And sh that's when things start to go a little sideways. That's when things start to really ramp up. One thing this book does well, I think, at least at the beginning, is it has pretty decent pacing. You know, Steph it starts pretty, boring. It's just she's going about her life, her daughter B is helping her with stuff. Uh, and then, just all that stuff is happening. It talks a lot about her work with the homeless business sort of thing. But as that's happening, there's also these sort of mysterious incidents and the stuff with her husband in the background. It's kind of stressful. Not really like that bad, but like I don't know. This poor Steph, she just has a lot of issues, and things just don't go so well for her. Then the other big part of the book, the other, sort of main character, is this guy Noah. And Noah is this he's a young lad. He's a young lad, he's fallen on hard times. He's a young lad, he's fallen on hard times. I'll say that again in case you couldn't understand me through the accent. But he's fallen on hard times. And he sort of meets up with Steph at this homeless place. And, she's trying to find him a place to live. Uh and what's crazy is that this guy Noah reminds Steph a lot of her son Max. And she's always, felt really sad about Max leaving. Obviously, one thing this book does well, I think, is examine the relationships between families and, what a mother's love is, and what it's like for someone or for a parent to really love a child, even if that child hurts other people and hurts them, you know. Steph always still has this love for Max, her kid who joined the military 10 years prior to the events of the book. So, anyways, this kid Noah, he's a young lad. He's fallen on hard times. It's like the fifth time I've said that. He ended up homeless. He, much like Max, sort of went away from his parents, and now through a series of events, he ends up moving in with Steph. And that sort of brings a whole load of other suspicions. And the whole point of the book basically is figuring out who is trying to mess with Steph, who wants her out of the house. And there's a lot of different theories, about who it is. So let's get into my thoughts on the book now that I've, given a bit of the synopsis or introduction. Obviously, I'm not going to spoil, who did it, who is trying to, frighten Steph and scare her and stuff. You have to read the book to find out. But if you want to know, just like I don't know, email me or something. If you don't want to read it, or just look it up. But anyways, my thoughts on the book. I think it does a decent job going over themes of homelessness and the idea that anyone could really end up homeless and understanding what being homeless means and how important having a home is and just stuff that we take for granted, stuff like that. I think it does a good job of developing those themes. It's decently written. It's no Agatha Christie. Uh, it's not hard to read. She has a lot of crutch phrases that Rona Halsall does that she sort of falls back on. The characters are fine. Not anything special, I feel like. I like the character of Steph. I liked the character of Noah. Everyone else sort of is not very fleshed out. They do things that, don't really sort of add up, in my opinion, at how they would act. But I have to keep in mind that this is a book about Britain, and I don't totally understand their culture. They do a lot of drinking of tea in the book, so that's something. But yeah, I think some of the characters' actions are a bit inexplicable, and it's kind of frustrating at times. And my overall gripe with this book was like the plot, the actual like structure of the mystery and how it unfolds. Personally, I'm not like a super detective or anything, but I was like pretty like two-thirds of the way into the book, pretty confident about who the bad guy was, or bad girl, obviously, or just bad person. Uh, but go, it was sort of obvious in my opinion. The book claims to be like a psychological thriller. I think it could do more to sort of play on those aspects. Um, it doesn't really, it didn't evoke a ton of emotions in me personally. Um, but I had trouble relating to, the plights of the characters. But it, look, it's a very short book. The pages are like it's fast paced. I read it. Not as quickly as I wanted to. I got my wisdom teeth out, so I was in a lot of pain. But I finished it. I'm not unhappy that I read it. Not super happy that I read it. It was kind of meh. So that's how I feel about it. The ending, the actual way it played out, I think it was kind of. I don't know. I hate being critical because it's a really good book. I don't. Well, it's a good book, and Rona Halsall should be proud. I feel bad because at the end she said, um, She said, like, I hope you loved the guest room. If you did, I would be very grateful if you could write a review. I'd love to hear what you think, and it makes such a difference helping new readers to discover one of my books for the first time. She seems very nice. So, like, I really, and I'm not just being nice, but it was a good book. I think, she doesn't need my, uh, affirmation to know that she's a good writer. But, I know how it feels to write stuff and get it criticized. It hurts. So that's why I'm not going to criticize it too much more. I'm going to say, if you are into, mysteries, sort of a chill, if not chill, if you want just like a quick read, if you haven't read anything in a while, this isn't going to change your life or anything, but it's fun. It's good. It's good. That's what I'll say. It's good. So yeah, if you like mysteries and you want something to read, I recommend it. If you don't really like mysteries, or if you are super into mysteries and you only read like the classics, like I don't know, maybe you wouldn't like it that much. But anyways, now we're getting into a book that I started today. I had a plane ride, so I got to start a book. I read about 70 pages, or about 80 pages of the book that I'm about to show you guys on the plane. And this book I'm super excited to read. It's for a book club at my university, and I'm super excited about it. I loved Parable of the Sower, which I did a review of, my first ever video by Octavia Butler. I never read anything by her before, but now that I have, and now that I'm reading this next book, I'll just say what it is. It's Kindred by Octavia Butler. My God, she is amazing. I mean, the I'm on page 87 of this book, but it is so good. Octavia Butler, she just I don't know, she just has it. I can't explain it. Um After much like Parable of the Sower, it gets into the action super quickly. Her writing is just matter of the fact. It's not like super, it's not any crazy prose, but it's so compelling and so good. I guess I'll tell you a bit about this. I'll give a full review once I finished. It's a pretty well-known book. I can't believe I haven't read it yet. I can't believe that Octavia Butler doesn't get more respect in, I mean, she gets a lot of respect, obviously, but I don't know. I read this one list of like top 100 sci-fi and fantasy novels, and her name didn't show up once. It was from NPR. Shame. Terrible. And I've read some of the books on that list. The Diamond Age was on that list by Neil Stevenson, and Parable of the Sower and this are definitely better than that, in my opinion. But anyways, this book, it's very well known. It's about a woman named Dana who lives in 1976, and she gets transported back in time, uh, into like the 1800s, during slavery. She's like herself, like and all that stuff, but she has to deal with all these things in the 1800s, and basically she gets called back by this young boy named Rufus, who's a son of a plantation owner. And I don't know. I'm reading it right now. It is unbelievably good. I it's she's just the best. Well, I don't know if she's the best, but she's really good at writing. I'm really enjoying this book. I love Parable of the Sower, so I'll have my full review on this when I finish it. Hopefully that'll be soon. I'm really busy, so it's not easy to get time to read. But yeah. Anyways, I've been Larry Red from Larry Red Reads. Let me know what you thought about this video in the comments below. Or don't. Or share the video, like the video, do whatever you think is necessary. But anyways, have a good night.